Hello everyone, I'm just making this video today just to talk about my thoughts on Balan Wonderworld after having played it. Now, if you know me, I am a pretty big fan of platformers, especially 3D ones, and I feel like they've been kind of being made redundant almost in recent years. There aren't that many, and I'm always looking forward to seeing new 3D platformers emerge. So when I heard that there would be a new 3D platformer from some of the OG Sonic Team creators, I was quite excited. But after having played the demo, I'm very pessimistic about what this game is going to be like. Let's first talk about the positives I had playing this demo. Firstly, because there aren't that many, and I always do like to find good things, even about products I don't particularly like that much. So you can tell that they spent a lot of money on the cutscenes that are generated at the beginning of the game and the ones that appear just before the boss fight that's in the demo. And these look pretty nice. I wish the actual game run like that, but you know, it is what it is. I also really like the character designs for Balan and the villain that shows up, whose name I don't know. But yeah, these characters are kind of what I was looking for in a 3D platformer. These were the sort of character designs I wanted. And they feel like they would belong in the Sonic game. And before I played the demo, I actually thought Balan was going to be the protagonist. I also liked the music quite a bit in the game. Especially the one they used for Chapter 4, I think, which unlocks after you beat the first 2 levels. It fits the theme of, you know, being in this new world like Wonderland and all that. And yeah, if it wasn't for the level design, I'm pretty sure the music could have sold me a bit more on the game, but it is what it is. So that's basically all I liked. So time to move on to everything else I didn't like. The main issue stems from the fact that most of the buttons on any controller, so in my case I played this both on Steam and on PS4. So if you're playing this on PS4, every button on, so X, square, triangle, circle, R2, L2 all do the same thing, which is to jump. That's it. There's one other button for switching costumes, but that's it. And this causes most of the problems that's in the demo. So, for example, I'll start with the basic issue is that if you go on the menu, you can't even do a cancel button. There's no like equivalent of circle where you can go back out. So I was trying to like fiddle around with some of the settings because the camera by default is a bit annoying. So I went to the settings to try and like change that. Then I noticed you can't go back without going to the bottom and clicking return to the main menu, and then on there you have to like click resume, which is a bit daft. This also means by default that the character can't dash or attack in any way other than by jumping on any of the enemies, which is not good, especially if you consider the fact that the guy's movement speed in the game is so slow. Like, if you look at him, he looks like what I would be trying to do if I was running like an anime character back when I was younger, you know, like the Naruto run, basically. And yeah, he just doesn't move, and then he can't jump that well. Like if you look at the arc here, he barely moves when you jump. So it's very stiff. It's hard to get him where you want to go, and this isn't a good thing, especially considering the size of the environment. So because of how big and wide this is, you want to be able to get around to the different places more quickly, but he takes forever. So it's pretty annoying. Your character is basically limited to jumping unless you collect these costumes that are lying around in the levels, which basically means you're jump is replaced by the costume ability, because like I mentioned before, there's literally only one button. This can create another problem where there are these costumes that can fight, essentially. That's their only purpose, is to hit enemies. So for example, the dragon costume in the game, it means while you can spit out fire, you can't actually jump at the same time, so you can't do anything other than hit, which means you can't dodge or maneuver your way around an opponent while you're attacking in this costume. And if you're stuck with just that costume, you actually can't change back to human form unless you get hit, which is completely stupid. You need to be able to jump while using another ability. Like, it's just like basic platforming. This also means basically that if you're stuck with a combat costume and you don't have another costume to jump around with, you can't do even basic platforming after you've beaten an enemy. Like, how dumb is that? Like, imagine if, for example, Crash, if you could only spin at certain points in the game and then you got punished and you weren't allowed to jump in certain sections where you have to jump. Like, how dumb is that? The simple solution is basically just to map the costume ability on a button and then map a regular jump on the button. I don't get why this isn't a thing. Or either that, or if they really wanted to for some reason to stick with the whole one button thing, is to give you the ability to switch back to the human form as needed. You are also limited to 3 costumes. If you get any more than that, the costume you currently had will basically disappear into an invisible inventory slot, which I only discovered by accident at one point. And it can be quite annoying because you can get multiple copies of the same costume, so you end up getting like 2 wolf costumes. You don't need it at the moment. So if you're after a particular costume for a platforming section, it can be quite annoying to do that, because either you'll have to go back to where you remember they spawn, and if you don't have a key, by the way, you need keys to unlock costumes for some reason. They're lying around, but sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not there. It's, I don't know. You either have to do that or you go to these checkpoints, which the game doesn't tell you, by the way. I just stumbled upon it by accident. If you click the jump button, which is still ridiculous, if you hold that down, this gate will appear to an area where if you go in it, it'll let you choose the extra costumes you earned throughout the level, and select between them, swap them out. Which, I mean, it's so hidden, like they don't tell you about it at all, and it just gets in the way of the game. Like, you didn't need to do this. This could have been like a menu in the game. You could have done something like something similar to Ratchet and Clank, you know, hold the touchpad and then your list of costumes that you obtained somewhere else would pop up, or something along those lines. This was another thing as well. There are these sections in the level where you clearly can't get to them currently with your ability. So I was wondering, how do I get to the extra collectibles, which are these trophies basically in the game. And I noticed in Chapter 6 that you get the ability you need, the costume, but they don't regularly spawn in the earlier chapters. So what you would have to do is get it in that chapter, like as an extra costume, then go back and into the levels you played earlier, and then go into that gate thing I mentioned earlier, change into that, then go back to those specific sections to use the ability, which is, come on. Like, I think the simple solution to that would have been, if you wanted something extra to come back to, is do something a bit like Super Mario Sunshine. Have a hologram version of the costume, and just mention something like, oh, you can't use this ability yet until you've unlocked it in a later level. Then make that costume appear after you've used it in another area, and it'll respawn there, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that hologram. I'll go back to that level to collect the collectible I missed. You know, it's I don't know why the game's trying to fight you. Like, it's trying to stop you from having fun. Like, I don't understand. I'd also make the argument that most of these costumes could just be taken out of the game. and some of them could be added as just default abilities to the main character. The level design as well is pretty bland, because the character's limited in how they can move. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do anything, you can't do much by default. It feels like these stages, especially the first two, are from a stage creator from Smash Brothers. Like, they just randomly place assets here and there. They're not detailed, textured environments that you sort of expect from a AAA company like Square, and especially with someone with 3D platforming experience. Like, so, it's not good. And getting the collectibles almost feels like collecting red coins in Mario, just because of how straightforward some of these are. And the ones that are out of reach are just because the costume isn't there. It's not because the platforming is difficult, it's just because that specific costume is annoying to get. I think the closest it got to being good was Chapter 6 with the gear puzzles, but even then it's like as good as a sort of introductory level would be in some of the other good platformers like Crash. And then also the NPCs in the game, for some weird reason, disappear whenever you get near them. Like the creepy farmer right at the beginning of the game, in the first level, just randomly disappears, or any of these costume characters all just disappear when you go next to them, or they'll just randomly pop up and dance next to you. Like, I don't understand. Is it because there's some sort of limitation in the graphics? Because it feels like we're running on a bad GameCube game. Like, I don't get why something like Super Mario Sunshine could look better than something that is this gen, if you know what I mean. Especially on PS4. I've heard it's even worse on Switch, with T-bows and characters and everything. I don't get it. You must have had the budget to do better than this. The main character at times as well can be quite hard to distinguish from the dancing characters that are around. So if they pop up next to you, you sometimes don't know whether you're controlling them or your main character, because he wears the same costumes as them. I've also seen better looking games from independent studios. Like, for example, Hat in Time looks quite a lot better than this. It functions better than this. There's more platforming even by default without like upgrading the main character. If you don't feel restricted. This is the problem. Like, the game feels like it's strangling you and it's stopping you from jumping and dashing and exploring the world. Like, it's trying to restrict you, and I don't get why they've done it like this. It's not very well designed. So in conclusion, I don't want this game to do bad, but unless they make some major changes before its release date in March, I don't see this doing particularly well. What I'd recommend for them, if they were to watch this video, is to go back, increase the character speed, give the default jump some more momentum, and give that jump to all the costumes, like all of them. You need another button for the default jump. And then get rid of unnecessary ones like the wolf one. I think you need to cut it down, because I saw in the game menu that I unlocked only a few out of 80. It's far too much. You need to make those costumes have an impact on the platforming. And then one other thing was to add a permanent menu so that you can access any of your costumes at all times. And hopefully you enjoyed my thoughts on this video. And let me know if you want to see any more videos like this. Anyways, I'll speak to you guys soon then. Bye!